What's up, everybody? How you doing? And welcome back to another episode of Living Life Intently. This is a new year. We got some new episodes, and we've added a new host.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jonathan Canary.
There you go. I was going to actually introduce you, but I mean, you kind of just preempted me on that one. Jonathan has been a good buddy of mine, and you heard him on past episodes if you listened to this podcast before. We thought it would be a great thing to kind of add a co-host this year, add a little bit of, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Comic relief.
Yeah, that one too.
Boom, boom.
Yeah. So, we put together a really good podcast this season. We're going to have fun doing it. We're going to be traveling all over Nova Scotia, talking to some great guests. And, this past year, how did everybody get going? What did you guys do? I know we were busy. Jonathan's been joining us with on some trips, didn't you?
Yeah, we did the Keji trip, the $10 trip. We did a few up the valley, and we did the top of the Shetty Camp River there, those waterfalls.
Oh, yeah.
That was a real fun day.
Scouting for a top secret mission that hopefully we'll be able to do someday if we get permits for it. But, you know, but yeah, we did the Tentrals. That was a fun one. And we also did the winter trips that we did a recap podcast last season on one of those, which we also have another trip coming up in the next month and a half, actually, from now. We're going to do a 5-day snowshoe trip from Ingonish all the way to Shetty Camp, similar to what we did a couple years ago. If you want to learn more about that, you can head to our website. It's on the main page as the Across the Highlands Expedition. There's also a podcast where the 4 guides that did the last one, I can't remember what episode it is, but if you cruise back, it's the Operation Whiteout recap. It actually was one of the highest listened to episodes, next to the one with you, the first one with you.
Yeah. We had a good time at Humes the other day.
Oh, yeah. Humes River. Yeah, that's been...
we thought we would snowshoe, but it was a little warm for that.
It reminded me of hiking in Vancouver last November.
Yeah, wet and still snow on the ground. Still a little bit chilly, but yeah, we had a good day. Made some coffee by a waterfall. That was the most water I ever seen come over that waterfall by far.
It's been the last time I was there was in the winter and it was all frozen.
Yeah.
So I didn't see anything.
I was expecting to see some 40-foot icicles, but I'm not disappointed.
Well, I mean, you'll probably hike it again this winter
for sure.
and get that knocked off. But so this week, we've got one of the most requested guests that I've always had people request this guy. He is a local chef. Well, didn't grow up in Cape Breton, but he's now local. He lives in Big Baddeck. Bryan Picard with the Bite House. The Bite House was a small restaurant in his farmhouse, which was like a 12-seater restaurant. They did a tasting menu, and this place booked up like within 1 minute. Whenever he opened bookings in January, he would book up for the entire year in 1 minute. It was kind of crazy, and it was one of those spots where if you knew anything about restaurants in Cape Breton Island, it was very hard to get into. People waited and waited and waited. You never even ate there once, did you?
I've never successfully gotten a reservation there.
It was pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Although I was very grateful when we did the podcast that he fed us beforehand.
So we get a little taste because he was doing, he now does catering gigs and does special events, which, some of them, if you follow us on Instagram and our events during the summertime, he comes in and does what we call Northern Barbecue, which is very meat-based barbecue event.
Yeah, delicious.
Pretty goddamn good.
Should probably preempt this with we recorded this before Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so some of the references might be, Christmas is next week, or, I'm going to buy your book for a Christmas gift.
Which was, that was the plan. That was all the plan.
Yeah,
but,
absolutely.
How things happen. So we thought it would be good to launch this in the new year. So this podcast is a fun one. We had a lot of laughs, and got to know about the backstory about how Bryan got started and what really inspires him. And then we threw a little curveball at the end, which I think we're going to keep up for these.
Let's do it. The rapid
fires.
Yeah.
So, we won't babble on too long. We're just going to jump into this podcast. You can follow us, at Live Life Intense on Instagram and all your social channels. Mr. Canary is at Sounds of Fire.
That's it.
Instagram. Yep. If you have any suggestions for podcasts, future podcasts, let us know. Send us an email at info@livelifeintense.com. And we'll just jump into this. Awesome. Thanks for listening.
Enjoy the episode.
Oh, and before I forget, there is a little bit of cursing in this podcast. I'm going to get better at it. I'm a little rusty. I reviewed it and I tried to cut out as much as I can, but and I didn't really want to add these little beeps. So this podcast is rated explicit. Just fair warning before you get into it. There was a couple beers, a lot of cursing on my behalf, not on anybody else's behalf. I'm at fault. Blame me. But I will do better in the future for all you people listening that do not want to hear a lot of F-bombs. Thanks for listening.
All right, so Bryan Picard. This has been playing on my mind for the longest time. It's been actually troubling me a few times. It has kept me up at night. What was in those eggs at Peter's farm that morning?
I'm like, what? I saw the question. I was like, do we have a...
I don't know, man, if you put lard in those eggs or coffee cream.
Was it like the next day of the concert there?
They were so good.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's probably Peter's eggs. That probably made the difference.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I have no idea. Probably cream in there. And something on barbecue somehow.
Oh, yeah, they were life-changing.
Yeah, sweet. Well, I'll try to recreate that somehow.
Whatever wasn't used the night before.
Yeah.
Right? This will work. Put it in there. Is this cream or is it dressing? I don't know. Whatever. Fuck it. Just put it in. No. So yeah, we've been it's on a little hiatus. This is the first episode of like season 3 is what I think we're going to call it. Technically it's season 3 because I do these every winter. For the most part, I think. I think I did some last winter, pretty sure I did some last winter, didn't I?
Yeah.
We did some last
He's
winter.
the new host, so he's...
Yeah. I can't quite. There's so many things that happened in the last year. But yeah, we were... Last year when I did a call out and asking people for kind of suggestions and who they wanted, you were one of the names that came up the most within the people that actually listen to the podcast. And there is actually people that listen to the podcast. So,
yeah. That's interesting because I'm like, I don't know what to say, but we'll see.
Yeah. And it wasn't, and I mean, this is the first time when we sent you questions the other day, or yesterday. It was more or less the first time I've ever actually thought about some questions and like prepared a little bit ahead of time. So, and then we were like, also trying to do this. I mean, you reached out to me about that was like August, maybe.
Yeah. I was like, we could plan it with the book and have some kind of like, but then, that's how the summer goes. You're like, what happened?
Yeah.
We're in December.
Yeah. And then like I'm burnt out and nothing. I was like, the last time I texted about it, I was like, I'm not in the headspace to even think about sitting down and talking about any of this shit. Like I have no capacity to focus on talking to somebody about something.
Lee messaged me like 3 weeks ago. I was like, all right, so you and I are going to do the podcast and we're going to do 10 episodes. So, I don't know. You want to start in December? I'm like, bro, December's in 3 days. Like, yeah, we got to get this on the go.
It's probably the same time when you asked me. It was like, okay, when does it work for you next week? I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, because it's kind of like a switch. After like November was like a burnout. I was done all November. I just slept most of the time. I was like spinning my tires, not getting anything done. And then finally it's like one day you just get over that shit and I'm like fired up again. And I was texting him and then I had like 500 text messages going on at the same time with like so many different people being like, it's time to get going. Let's fucking rock and roll. No, but yeah, you were one of the most requested people to sit down on this podcast. And then it kind of just coincided well because you just released a cookbook, post COVID and all that sort of stuff. But I guess we should probably do a little bit of an interview, or not interview, an introduction.
Yeah, sure.
On who you are. Why don't you just tell everybody who you are?
Oh, no. I'm Bryan Picard. Chef.
Esquire.
Yeah, Esquire. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much all I can say. I've been cooking for like close to 20 years now. Started as like a bus boy and stuff, and never thought I'd cook. And I was like, I mean, I did it for like as a teenager, cooking and bus boy and stuff, and I was like, but then I went to university and after that, and I was like, well, it's kind of I remember it was kind of fun doing, and then university was kind of boring to me, so yeah, I just went to cooking school and started cooking like professionally, and was in the city for a while, and then decided it was like too much, so wanted somewhere quiet. Ended up here and opened this place up, and that's about it. It's a 20-year introduction in 2 minutes.
That was great.
Yeah. I think it was less than 2 minutes, but yeah, we'll be judging. And when you said big city, where were you at?
Montreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I did travel to like Denmark, Sweden and stuff to cook there for like months at a time just to like study and stuff. Well, yeah, this is a lot better.
What year did this place open?
2014. Yeah, I bought the house in like 2012. And then it was just a lot of work. It was kind of a rundown, kind of old place. So yeah, it took like 2 years to fix it up, and yeah.
I have had a lot of friends over the years who have come here for dinner.
You're not one of them.
No, I was always so jealous because I could never get a reservation.
Yeah,
but now I got an in.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right?
I got a private dinner earlier.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
but yeah, so it all like the Bite House, the name, the brand started as a blog, correct?
Yeah.
And then were you working at the Chanterelle Inn then?
Yeah, that was even before. Like when I moved here, we moved in a little cabin, like on the Ben Bria. And I was like, all right, I should like find something to do. So like started taking pictures, making recipes, and then taking pictures and getting into all that thing. And so I was like, maybe I'll just start a little like blog about cooking in Nova Scotia and stuff. Just mostly recipes, like.
Yeah.
So then I started that, called it the Bite House, and then and then after that I got the job at the Chanterelle. I was there for 2 years, and So, but the blog was good because it kind of like got people like, oh, what's going on? Like it was kind of something interesting because, it's not that there's interesting stuff happening, but I mean, food wise, like it's like, oh, like, more can happen kind of thing.
And did you just start it just as like, kind of like a journal for journaling like your stuff? Did you have any plan of like pumping it out or pushing it, or was it just more or less just an organic thing? It
was organic. It was just like, let's do it and then put them online. And then, you go on these sites like Food Gawker and stuff, putting them up. And then it kind of, got quite a bit of followers over the like first year or so. So anyway, it was good. And I wasn't like, I'm a food blogger. It was just like, like I had fun just doing recipes and like putting pictures up and stuff. So yeah, it was just like pretty organic.
Funny how sometimes that happens organically, and that just kind of flowed you into whatever you're doing now.
Yeah, because I had no plans ever of opening a restaurant. I was like, I'll just like cook, and then at first I was like, I kind of want to do some catering because I was like wanting to get the kitchen license. I was like, well, maybe we can. But then I was like, it'd be pretty cool to have like a few tables and do a tasting menu and stuff because, like in Denmark, like they were on that for like 10 years before it kind of hit here and stuff. So it was kind of eye-opening. I was like, oh, shit, like, it's pretty cool stuff that can happen. Like, anyway, so, yeah.
It's funny how, like, trends, that's when I was, like, looking at, I used to have, like, a retail store in Halifax, and it failed miserably, so, whatever. But
what were you selling?
Clothes. And lived in a closet upstairs and ate off a hot plate once a day. I lost about 40 pounds and became emaciated. I was broke. But anyways, that's another story for another time. But we were looking at trends elsewhere, like Montreal and Toronto.
Yeah.
Like everybody we talked to in the fashion industry was like, you look elsewhere, and then that'll happen here in like 3 years.
Yeah, that's the thing, because when I was there, all the restaurants, they were already doing like the natural wine. And that was like 2012 or something. Anyway, and it was already there for so long. And when I came back, it just like slowly, like, oh, Montreal was like, oh, the natural wines and stuff's coming down. Then like a few years later, it kind of hit Halifax, and now it's kind of like what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's true that it's like, it always comes somewhere, but it's kind of interesting to see how long it can take to like reach like, other little places and stuff.
Do you ever get you probably have gotten this question of like, what made you think, what gave you the idea to start a small restaurant here? You know what I mean? And it's like, I get the same question with like Live Life Tents or like with whatever else. And I'm like, you just fucking look to elsewhere and you just see the trend.
Well, that's the thing. Like the tasting menu over there, like a lot of restaurant was just doing like, oh, you can have 3 course or 5 courses. So then it keeps like a menu small. So you don't have to prep like 50 items. You prep like 5 different courses and people can try a few things. You change the menu once in a while and it just keeps prep like manageable. Not a lot of people. And then it's just more interesting.
There's probably not
to eat that
a lot
way.
of waste when you know what.
Oh, there's no waste. Yeah, it's just like, because like, 12 seats, that amount of people, you need this much. That's it. Like, it's, yeah. But like, say, it kind of happens and makes sense, like, in a way, because I couldn't have opened and be like, okay, you have your choice of like a steak, like the chicken, or it's just like, what's going on? Like,
Do you try to source food locally? Do you forage? Do you grow food?
It's all local. And that was one of the first things. I was like, okay, everything's got to come from here. Like most things, like flowers and stuff is still all from the Maritimes and stuff. But like I was working with Peter like since the beginning, and it's like just everything from him, veggie wise, and all the meats from like. So that's a good base. It's a good way to start, like, and that's also I think people were like, why is it so good? Like, it's because I'm a good cook. Where it's not like I'm not making like, it's not like, oh, what's going on? But it's like, well, you got a good leek, like it'll taste amazing, But if you have a leek from like that's like a month old shipped from France, like, yeah, it's gonna be a little bland. Like tastes like the fridge a bit, like. Yeah, that's kind of what it is.
It's like the beef that's next to it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and does like what kind of inspires you to just to sit down and do a recipe like you're when you ran the Bite House for the how many years did it run? I'm trying to remember. It's 5?
7.
7. Yeah, I thought it was like 5 or 6. Yeah,
maybe
so
6, anyway,
and your menu changed with the season, correct?
Yeah,
yeah. So within what gave you inspiration? Where did you pull inspiration from for developing all the menus?
Yeah, so I started doing monthly menus, and I was like, oh, that's just a good way, because then we had a lot of monthly clients and stuff, so it's like, oh, you get to try it. And so usually I'd just reach out to Peter and be like, oh, what will you have, next month? That was mostly the restaurant years, like, now it's kind of a bit different, but anyway, so he'd be like, oh, I'll have those, this, and that, so I can plan dishes around those things. And then seafood-wise and meat-wise, you kind of adjust, but I kind of wish I'd done it different, like, because sometimes a dish was so good and it could have stayed in season for like 3 months. I was like, it could have been even more organic. I could have been like, this dish is like awesome, so I'm just gonna like run that one for 3 months. Like
for the rest of the summer.
Just kind of like change it more with the actual season, kind of like, and if a dish is good and it's nailed, like instead of having to be like, okay, I'm changing the whole menu, like anyway, but.
You'll eat what I tell you.
Yeah. But it made it interesting, like, doing it like, yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. But I've been here many times. So that was always curious to me. It's like whether or not you did, and when you created a new menu, was it like a new menu each, like from scratch, or did you pull from old recipes you developed?
No, from scratch. I didn't want to recreate dishes, so I was like, sometimes it could have been like, in the same vein as another dish, like, I've made like 10 variations of like a scallop ceviche, but always with different components to it. So it's like always different, but it was always like I kind of wanted, and in a way, it kind of pushes you to like, try different things and like try to come up with ideas, but sometimes it's a bit forced. So you're like,
just like those eggs.
Yeah.
Like those eggs.
Sometimes I like the best thing I cook is like not planned, like in a rush, like just leftovers or something. And then you're like, oh, what's going on? But yeah, anyway, but it was fun. But I would now with this catering thing and stuff, it makes more sense because if like dessert is like so good and it's like a lot of outdoors event stuff, I'm like, this dessert, everyone's going crazy. You kind of keep it for like, 2 or 3 months, and then when it's out of season, you change. But anyway, it's kind of
Yeah, the menu at the events was fantastic. When you use is it an acorn? Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
Do the fish? Was it fish you smoked?
Which
I
event?
don't know what you're talking about.
It was the first event you did last year at Live Life Intense. It was like it was halibut.
Oh yeah,
at my place.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the season opener?
Yeah, maybe.
Season opener was,
Or was it
because once
the
there
trash
was
bash?
one of them there was
I remember.
One of them there was crab, and the other one's like scallops. Anyway, it was always like the ones we do the barbecue is always like a meat kind of thing, and then the seafood kind of thing.
Yeah. Just meat based. Fucking heavy meat. Heavy on the meat, boys.
Sorry, vegetarians.
It's funny because there was one guy like, because there's always like nice sides and vegetables and stuff, and it's pretty colorful. And like, it's funny, there was one guy, I forget which one it was anyway, and he was like, this doesn't look good because it was like too pretty. And then he came back and he was like, well, actually, like it was ugly, but damn, that was good. I was like, what do you mean it was ugly? It looked way better than like just a splooch of like potatoes.
Oh man,
yeah, it's like
I was talking about the barbecue that we did this past summer before, and it was the beef ribs one.
Oh yeah,
because we had it's thick because I got beef ribs from Ben and Marguerite, and then I wanted more, so I called his butcher. I was like, "Can you like leave as much fat and meat on those ribs as you can?" And they were like the chuck ribs.
They're gigantic.
Fuck, they were like 4 inches of meat.
I'm amazed we pulled that off with the smoker there. I was like, once some were smoke wrapped them, I was like finishing some in the oven. I was like, there's no way, because those take like 12 hours.
It was a tuna steak with that.
Oh yeah,
that's what it was.
Yeah, grilled. Yeah, grilled on the.
Yeah,
on the barbecue.
Yeah. Those
fresh tuna is something else.
Yeah. And also those ribs are something else too. I'm gonna go back to those for a minute because I was like,
all right, let me rewind to the ribs.
I remember you lifting up the fucking smoker and he's like, look at this, and he pressed the rib and it just jiggled and the meat was sliding off itself. I was like, holy fuck. And I remember the next day I went out because we had like the way we set everything up was in the barn, and you've been there where we kind of like would make the serving table. It was basically like a piece of plywood to hold off the back of the barn, and I just drilled into some sawhorses. There was like butcher paper and fat and meat scraps and everything. It was left overnight till the next morning, and I walked up in the morning, like opened the doors. I didn't have doors in the barn that year because I didn't finish the doors till the fall. So I just walked in the barn and was picking at it. Like all the meat has been sitting out all night.
Like a wild dog.
I was just like feeding them in my mouth. And people were coming down for coffee from the campground. And it was just like grease and oil. And
like a raccoon.
You guys want coffee? Yeah, be a minute. 1 second.
Yeah, those are pretty epic. We had got little beef short ribs the other day, and they were just about this big. They were cut small. I was like, oh damn, I thought they were like a bit bigger. Anyway, but we smoked those. And they ended up turning to like little nuggets. They were like this big, but all like crust, like bark around them, and then amazing melting inside. And it was like, man, like you'd give like 3 of those to a person, and it's like, it's like a meal, but it's so good.
Yeah, it's funny. Like the whole since doing like the smoke shit, like when we did the briskets that first summer and the ribs and then stuff this year, it's like people locally haven't really, like a lot of them haven't ever really tasted any smoked shit before.
Oh yeah, it's like proper smoke, like just wood fired smoke. You're just like, the first time I tried it, like it was just a few years ago, like with the smoker here, and you're just like, what's this taste? It's like your mind never like, anyway, there's something pretty crazy about that. And then once you taste it, you're like, can't go back. Like you tried pellet smokers or like electric smokers and stuff, and it's just like, there's no way to come close. Like it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and I was talking before about the moose that I did, and the guy that gave it to me has anyway, he got a moose in New Brunswick, came back down, and dropped off this moose brisket. I don't know if I showed you a picture of it. I texted you a picture of it.
Massive.
It was probably like fucking 30 pounds. And all the bones in, the meat on the top. And so it barely fit in my smoker. And so I was working at stuff in the barn and smoking at the same time. And he was over for beers last night and hanging out. And I think this is fucking red buttons on. Sorry, folks. This is the first episode back. Just anyways. Yeah, so he came in and I gave him a bunch. I was like, here, try some of this. He goes, what's this? I'm like, that moose you gave me. And he's eating it. And he goes, this is fucking moose? You're like, this is what I gave you? I'm like, yeah. He goes, this is delicious. This doesn't even taste like moose. I'm like, yeah, well, it's actually cooked. It's not fucking ground up until like a mush and then put in sausages like you did to the rest of the fucking animal. Like there's ways of eating. He's like, oh, can I take some and give it to my mom and my brother? And then like his eyes were like this.
Careful
big.
now, everyone will like stop by like, hey, Lee, you want to like, what about firing up that smoker? And that's the thing, like it takes time. Like you got to feed the fire for like, 10 hours at least. So it's like, it is time consuming, but it's like worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. But those were, I mean, that was a fun, that was my entry because I was like, it was COVID related because I started going down rabbit holes as probably everybody did. And I was looking up making moonshine. And I was going to make my own booze. And then it was like, oh, I don't think that's a good idea because then I'll just be fucking drinking all the time. And then, yeah, because I was looking up how to make my own still with like, I was going to weld it all together and make it at the brook in the back end of my property. And I was going to have this whole like in southern fucking
still in barbecue.
And then
Lee Mountain Malt.
And then make that Marguerite swish and Marguerite firewater and
Switch.
And then I got on smoking and I was like, oh, I always wanted to fucking, I've been playing with Dad's green egg for a while.
Yeah.
God,
but it's totally different because that's like charcoal smoke, like you get some of the taste, but a lot of this smoke taste comes from when you like feed the fire with a stick and then like combustion, like the first initial like white smoke and then the clean smoke, like it's just all like, anyway.
Yeah. It's all in choosing the wood too. It's like a whole other science. Like we were saying before, modifying the smoke. It's a really shitty Oklahoma Joe's like entry level $500 smoker, which I when I ordered it got canceled, and then I had a guy Carson come to work for me for the summer. So I called him. I'm like, can you pick it up at Lowe's? They won't ship it. They canceled my order. He goes, oh yeah, I can get it. I think I can get it. So he slept. Basically, took up the whole back of his Pontiac, it's like SUV, and he slept next to it the whole ride out from Ontario. And he landed at my place and dropped it off, and then went into quarantine for 2 weeks. And then that's how I got my smoker. So yeah. But
they're awesome.
But yeah, but that was all COVID related, and that's kind of around the same time when you ended up shutting down the restaurant, right?
Yeah.
And that year, that was what, 2020?
2020
years, 2 years.
Yeah.
And so that must have been a hard decision.
Yeah, it was. I was like back and forth. I was like, I forget when it was that I decided. Probably April or May or something. Anyway, I was just like, should I do it or not? I mean, we couldn't have opened before like end of the summer anyway. So I was like, I got to like figure something out because like you can't just wait and then open. And still to this day, like with all the table spacing, you still can't do the numbers.
Yeah,
it's such a small space anyway. So I was like, all right, canceled the whole year. I was like, this is right, like a few hundred emails, like, sorry, like.
So how many beer did you drink that day?
Quite a few, because you're like, no, yes. Anyway, but I was like, all right, let's get it done. And then I was like, okay, I'll try to like do takeout, and then come some catering. Like last year it was fine, but like, by the time people catch up to the like catering, like this year was like full and next year's going to be crazy. So it's like, so it's good. And people are like, oh, it's too bad. Like, you must be sad, but in a way it's been kind of good.
Do you enjoy the events?
Oh yeah, it's awesome. It's just the change of things too. Like you don't have to do the tasting menu every night, like in your house with a bunch of people in your house. Like, I mean, I did it and kind of didn't.
Is nice.
Well, kind of didn't like notice it. Like you're like in the grind, you're doing it. Then like after a year of not doing it, me and Maggie were sitting there like, isn't it great having like no one stop by? Like it was in the house, but people stayed and stuff, and that's fine. Like that's part of the restaurant. But then you have like the random people stopping by, like, you know, on a Monday morning, like looking for breakfast. You're like, no, like, you know, it's just like there's kind of the privacy thing too. Like gets a little like living where you work and stuff. Like, yeah. So no, it's been good. Yeah, change of pace.
Now you work where he lives.
Yeah.
Well, I can definitely relate to that. I mean, it's like...
Well, yeah, it's the same thing because you got people, like, living basically with you, like, because I'm sure you have people, like, coming in and out the door, like, every 8 hour of the day. Like,
yeah, we had people... it's not what it used to be, but, like, I've had people just... I walk downstairs and there's people in my house. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
They think it's like part of the
I'm
campsite.
Just looking to get coffee. I'm like, yeah, that's in the shop over there. That's open. You can smell the coffee. This is a resident. Oh, somebody who lives here? I'm like,
yeah,
what
me.
Do you think? It's like there's a kitchen here. There's like a
I thought this was the lodge.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it would have been a big like relief. But you probably like you said, in the mix of everything, like getting like, you know, in the height and you're just going all the time. Did like to have when you had the restaurant here, like once it got up and running and rolling, did you find that it kind of like that kind of consistency kind of killed the creativity side of things at all a little bit?
No, I think it came at a good time because I was getting kind of like not tired of it. You kind of realize after kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't say just doing it all the time, like I say, having to change the menu when you don't feel like maybe not being creative and just like making sure like perfectioning the dishes you have, and you know, having to change every month. It's kind of like a pressure because sometimes I'm like, I don't know, like I'm missing one dish and I'm like, I have no idea. Like somehow you're blank and you're like, like, so, you know, and you know, you end up like the day of like, okay, yeah, this works. You kind of figure something out. And then that in a way is creative, but like, this is definitely fun now to like, you know, I still do some tasting menus, and those are, cause I do pop-ups at Periwinkle, and those are kind of in the same vein as like the tasting menus. So, yeah, at least I can still do it, but not as like, you know, kind of not without the pressure of like
having yeah, man. So during COVID, during all this downtime, is this when we should probably start talking about this book?
Yeah,
is this when this kind of were you floating around this idea for a while?
Yeah, it was like a few years ago. I was like, it'd be fun to do a book, but I was like, what's the point? Like, there's not. I don't know. It's like, what, you know. No one asked for recipes, you know, I don't know. And then I was like, there's no point. You know. And then sitting there, I was like, well, I have all these pictures of all the dishes, and it's like, I have most of the recipes already written and stuff, like the bases. And so I was like, well, maybe I could just put it together. And then I was just like, all right. So I started like printing all the pictures I had that could be made into a recipe. And then like, just started like, you know, with a pen and paper, just starting to write all the recipes, like stapling the picture, putting aside, and then coming back to it, like fixing it. And anyway, it was like, yeah, it was more like, so that was, probably started like December 2020. I was done probably by like April-ish, like, but there was like a good like 2 months of every day, just like kind of going at it. And yeah, and it kind of made it quicker because most people write a book in like 2 years because they got to like do all the recipes and like, you know,
run a business. And
yeah, also
have probably a full restaurant.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like, it's the help that already had all that, like, you know, ready to go. Like, and that's why I was like, I'm going to use these pictures because most of them are from like iPhone pictures. I was like, I'm using the ones that's like, it's more representative of like what it was and trying to like retake all the pictures with all the little like ingredients that might, or, you know, they might not be in season this year. So, we'll have to wait next year to take another picture. Like, it's like, what's going on? So, yeah. So that's kind of how it happened. And I was like, let's see what happens. Like, it didn't, mostly the cost was my time and like the designer for like the cover and
probably the editor and all that stuff too. Eh?
Yeah. So I was like, I need to sell like 150 and like covers the cost. And I was like, I don't, it's kind of nice. I'm like, I wrote a book. So I'm like, even if no one else buys it, I'm like, but
And you self-publish it, right?
Yeah. Cause I looked around and I was like, I don't know. I'm not bashing anyone, but I was like, the cookbooks like that are published around and stuff. I was like, didn't really like the vibe. I kind of wanted my own like layout and my kind of, my own thing. So I was like,
creative control of everything too.
Yeah, I just did everything like the way I wanted, or I thought was good, whatever. Like maybe it could have been better, but I was like, that's And so I was like, put the little house stamp on there, and then do it yourself, and. I mean, it's kind of cool. It's like,
how many did you sell so far?
We're at like 800 now.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's not too bad for like. I just got another bunch there, but like for like a self-published book in like 2 months, I'm like pretty happy. It's like everyone's loving it. They're like, yeah, and a lot of people are like, I don't think I can cook anything in it, but it's like. But I'm like,
who is saying that?
I mean, but there's a lot of like, there's some easy stuff in there. It's not like, and you can take like the sesame sauce from this and just put it on whatever, like it's, and there's like a day off section, I call it. So I put like what I like in a burger and like a nice pie or something like that. So there is like, it's not like, nothing's overly complicated. You might need like, a grill and a barbecue and a smoker, maybe a sous vide machine for a few things, but like aside from that, like and it's also more as like you look through it and gives you ideas and like
well, that's the biggest thing. It's about getting ideas and concepts and stealing bits and pieces from other things to make your own creations.
Yeah,
that's the whole.
Yeah, it's like you can't really recreate any of that perfectly, but like. You can try, and like,
it's also when you were doing the measurements on this, I get like your measurements are not. You just put whatever you think, like roughly around what you would put in, right? It's not like because when I read recipes, it's like that doesn't make. I'm gonna put way fucking more spices.
Oh yeah, that's why. Like a lot of it is like put like a big pinch of this or like.
Just take your fucking hand,
a small handful, a small handful of like
just punch it first,
herbs,
pick it up and throw it in.
And that's kind of how I went about it because some recipes there's like
what unit of measurement is the smidgen?
Wow, it's up to interpretation.
The fistful of this, fistful of that.
Yeah, there was. I was looking over Anthony. You're talking about your burger, your day off burger, and I read through that, and then I was looking at my sister's Anthony Bourdain's book, and it has like his basically saying you can't add. It's not a burger if you add like. Forget
ketchup.
What it is. Ketchup or something.
I heard that one too, but I'm like, I grew up like eating ketchup on the burger. It's great. I'm like, just omit the ketchup.
Yeah, it was very, he was very like aggressive. His cookbook.
Oh, I know. I read a few other people say that, like the, down south, like burger. They're like, no ketchup, but it's like, but it's more of a sauce, like ketchup, mayo, and then like garlic and stuff like that. So you can't like. Tell if there's ketchup in there. It's tomato paste.
Yeah, when I went, I was like, I ordered a bunch of beef bones to make the stock.
Sweet.
Because like whenever I made stock, I just literally never put it in. It was mostly chicken, so I'd be like buy roast chicken and I'd roast like 2 or 3 chickens, cut all the main meat off it, throw all the carcasses in a pot, and then boil it down. Just the carcasses and whatever else for hours, and then strain it, pull all the meat off all those bones, put that in, and make soup out of it. Or I'd strain it and then freeze some of it. And when I used to do it in Halifax in my house that I used to live in with roommates, they used to be, when I first started doing it, I'm like, what in the fuck is going on? What are you making? What's on here? Is this a fucking carcass? Why is it left? Is this rotten? I'm like, no, making soup. Who makes soup out of chicken?
It's like what the that's fuck? How soup is done. That's how soup starts.
Yeah, that's literally the response that I would always get.
No, broths are amazing. Like, it's just I just got a quarter beef from Leo today. That's what I was picking up earlier. Anyway, he was like, "You want some bones?" Like, sure, he gives me a box, like, fresh bones. I'm like, all right.
And so what's the, like,
Beef
when you're doing it, do you put the bones in and you roast it
Yeah.
for a while and then you put it in? And then,
Yeah.
But if you roast the vegetables, it gives you a darker stock?
Yeah. So, yeah, that's the best way to make, like, a demi-glace, which is, like, the thick, like, super powerful
You just boil
base sauce.
boil
You
it.
just simmer it down. Like, once the stock is done, you simmer it down to, like, 1/8. Anyway, even crazier. Just, like, it's so thick and, like, it's full of flavor. So good. I got to make some now. I'm like, why didn't I have made this in a while? What's going on?
Yeah, I could see in your eyes. You're just like,
Yeah. But yeah, if you roast all the veggies too, like with the bones, like it just develops so much flavor. It's like,
What's your favorite stock then? To taste. Let's do it to taste.
probably beef stock. Like there's something about the beef, like especially if you leave a bit of fat in it, like because it's like good beef, like the fat tastes like earthy and stuff. Yeah, it's like because you can make pretty deadly sauces with that. But chicken stock too, like if you reduce chicken stock like to nothing, like it's like Flavor Town. Yeah.
Should be on your t-shirt.
Yeah, my new t-shirt, Flavor Town.
Taking you to Flavor Town, baby.
okay, Guy Fieri.
It's just like, its little logo is just a little bone. One of those little beef riblets.
I think I'm going to have to take home a few of these books today.
Oh, yeah. Christmas gifts.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I bought one for Christmas.
That's it.
Well, fucking.
You're like, I'll take 6. I'm like, what's going on?
It's funny because I'm making the count in my head right now. Like, yeah, how many Christmas gifts can I knock off right now?
Yeah, but I did read. I like it. It's well done. Like read through. Like, did you have an issue trying to find like for printing all this stuff? Did you end up doing it locally or try to do it in?
I went
Asia?
with Blurb. No, it's printed in the States. And sometimes you print in Canada. But anyway, I was like, Blurb, I was like, what's this website? And they do like photo books and stuff. I was like, all right, let's give it a try. And they have their own like program software. You can like lay out everything. And it's like, all right, give it a try. Do that. And, order one copy and see what it's like. And it looked great. I was like, like considering like, and it's printed in the States, which I like. It's not like Asia, which makes them, more expensive, but, and that option for like lower quality print and stuff. And I was like, it would have been a lot cheaper, but I was like, let's make it nice. And like,
I'm a big fan of going and doing it a little bit overkill and it probably didn't like, there's probably smaller profit margins for you on it, but it was the quality is more suited to your personality and your brand.
well, exactly. It's like, I'm not doing it to like, I was like, if I make a bit of money, that's fine. But like, it was more to like put it out there and people can read it. And it's like, you want something nice because the hardcover too is like, but then, most decent cookbook are hardcovers.
I just remember the ones with the coil binder.
Oh, yeah. I should have went like old school like that.
That was the old like Catholic from Margaret used to be the Catholic Women's League.
Yeah, and little drawings. Like
Next time we'll take a picture of the local church and put it on the front.
Yeah.
Fundraiser,
cookbook. Yeah,
put a new basement on the church.
Yeah. On Kathy's tea biscuits.
Well, that's the thing is just say like anyone can do like it's like recording someone doing an album like independent. It's like we're doing it on our own and like recording ourselves and like putting it out. So it's kind of cool that way. That's like you kind of have control over everything.
Yeah, and I mean it's also at the point too where you can people can do this themselves now. It's not.
That's what I mean. Like if you got a project in mind, like you can do it. It can be done. Like it's not.
Yeah, you don't need the publisher and you don't need distribution stuff. I mean, even though that probably would get you further, but
that was my goal. I'm like slowly but surely, like there's already like 5 places that carry it. I think like in the like 3 or 4 places on the island, like one in Halifax, and like over time it'll just be a constant like.
And it's not a thing that's like like you sell it for a short window of time. It's like you could have this in stock for like the next 15 years.
That's what I mean. Like tourists passing by at like a store, like, oh wow, there's a book about like this restaurant that existed like 10 years ago. You know. Yeah, and yes, I think it's something nice to look at, and like it's kind of more a story of. And that was another thing. I was like, well, if I'm not doing the restaurant, it's kind of a story, and then like it has a beginning and an end. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, it kind of makes it, you know, a good. So I'm like, I'm joking, but I'm like, oh, the next one could be like the catering year. So you know, so because I'm like, I'm already. It's like volume 2, because I'm like now. I know the process, so I'm even saving more pictures and like making sure I have all that, like, you know. So who knows? It's just like you do it, and that's the thing. Like it's over a period of time, but it's a good way to do it because then you can slowly, you know, do it instead of trying to like get everything done at once, like without thinking too much about it.
Yeah. And I was going down. This is completely off that topic. It's a switch of topics.
Yeah.
I've been waiting all night to do that.
You're actually just switching topics so you could press that button.
Yeah. No, I'm watching videos the other day with I was in a rabbit hole, and then I ended up on a Matthew Madison one when he was here.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah. It was like cooking. What was it? Was it lobster or crab here? No.
Yeah, it was lobster, I think.
He's such a rig.
Oh yeah, he's a character.
So he went out to like.
Good guy.
So how did that link up? That was through Vice, wasn't it?
Yeah, they just reached out and out of the blue, and they were like, yeah, you're interested in like filming a TV show. Manny Madison's gonna. Was it Dead Set on Life? I think it was called.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so it was going around and stuff. I was like, sure. Again, same thing. I was like, I don't know. There's just not much here to see, but you know. But yeah. Anyway, I don't even know how they found out about like a lot of those things. I don't even know how people heard about it. Like
word of mouth. That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah, and online. Yeah, it's just kind of.
And that's what makes it niche and special. You know, like that's what probably really drew them in. Is they're like, oh, nobody's definitely covered this.
Yeah, but that way, yeah, because it was still at the beginning. It might have been like 2016 or something. Like it was just a few years in.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Vice likes to be quick to the punch.
Yeah.
You know,
do things other people aren't doing,
or
a
like
little bit.
Yeah.
But that's a guy. When I've been following him for the last couple of years. It's a guy that's kind of like turned because it was like Parts and Labor, right? Was his restaurant?
Yeah.
Have you he's done for his brand? He's kind of like, because from what I see, it's just like 3 or 4 different restaurants, and I imagine it's just his name, and he advises on the menu.
Yeah, he kind of branched out. I think he quit or something, that restaurant. Anyway, but yeah, recently he opened like
it's like a barbecue spot.
Barbecue spot, and like he's partnered with like a taco place and like the Maddie's Patties, I think, like the burger place.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's yeah.
So it's doing like, is that something that you have an interest in, like spanning off and doing shit like that, or are you just happy doing your own thing?
Yeah, I mean, he's doing a lot. Like he's on the mission. You know, he's like, you know, I'll never be that kind of person. So I'm not. When I do one thing, I kind of like to focus on like.
Yeah.
That's why like this thing was small, and it was like I can control like most of it and stuff. So I like that. I think I'd have a hard time. Yeah, I don't know. At some point I'm like, oh, it'd be great to have a little like diner kind of place that you can just run and like make sure everyone's happy, have good staff and stuff like. But I'm like, yeah, that's, you know, for when I'm in my 40s kind of thing, because like my feet are like killing me. It's like I don't think I'll be able to cook for like another like 20 years standing up. Like takes a toll. So I'll just like, yeah, I got ideas like that, but there's no like rush, and I don't think I'll ever have like, oh, this place here and this place there and this, and it just depends too if you find good partners and stuff. But I kind of like,
I mean, it kind of like waters or dilutes the whole thing too. If you have too many things, especially doing what you're doing, like you create one thing that's special and one thing that it's done well. And then if you had like 4 different things, if you had a breakfast spot, and then
yeah, because they know, people know, like when they came here, I was there cooking. Like there was never someone else. And whenever people book me for an event, I'm there. It's not like, oh yeah, we'll just send tall guy over to. All right,
to steal the
deal.
pizza.
Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, I got ideas and stuff, but nothing like urgent. Like I like the kind of events and stuff. Like it's kind of cool. And a lot of outdoors things, which is nice.
Yeah, but it'd be fun.
Especially after all the COVID, like inside, you know, with all the masks and everything, you know, outside it's kind of nice. You're like, like, you know, if people don't have enough space, you can move a bit. Like, yeah.
Rapid fire.
Oh,
we're onto this now. I was gonna give you a little cue.
I read one of the thing, like I won't say what and I was like, what's that thing? I had to like look it up.
Marry, fuck, kill?
Yeah.
Yeah. So marry, fuck, kill. Gordon Ramsay, Anthony Bourdain, Jamie Oliver.
I had to think about it. I'm like, Anthony Bourdain's already dead, so you can't kill him.
But if he was alive.
Okay. Well, yeah. All right. I was like, those 3 names, I'm like,
So kill.
No. That'd be probably be Anthony Bourdain, because, you know, he's the man. And then
probably a wild one too.
Yeah, have some fun. And then marry probably Jamie Oliver over Gordon Ramsay. Yeah. I mean, he seems like a nice boy.
Like a nice fella,
like, yeah,
right?
And kill, yeah. I guess that leaves good old Gordy. I was like, I never heard that, but I was like, is that something that like it's gonna?
It's a thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm aware.
What was your favorite event this year?
We had a cool wedding here for
Joya.
Yeah. Joya, yeah. No, I got it. And Kyle, yeah. And it was super nice. Like, I never did a wedding here, and it was just like 30 people. And they asked me, and I was like, we can probably make something work. Like, but now we're at the backyard's pretty cool now. So it's like, yeah, there was a nice little event. Like, everyone's so happy, and it was just like 30 something people. And it was like, when I was like, just, yeah.
Yeah.
That, and we had Willie Watson, like, we had a concert, which Willie Watson's a great like folk music player.
Yeah, I heard.
We got him down here, and it was like awesome. We served some food for that, so probably those 2 events were really fun. Yeah. Doing stuff out here, like it's kind of nice. Not too many, like a few years, you know, like yeah.
You can only have one for the rest of your life: spicy, sour, or sweet.
I'd say sour.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh,
Interesting.
I didn't expect that one.
Because like
spicy.
Sweet, I'm not like. I mean, usually desserts I do would be like more on the tangy side and like with a bit of sweetness. I'm not like a big like give me sweets kind of person. And spicy, I like spicy, but not like I'm not into the like, you know, curled up crying kind of spicy level. So.
Were you at did I tell you about when I brought out all that stuff for the Island Sosco guys?
No.
Did I tell you about that?
I don't know.
I thought I told you guys about that. So we had like a barbecue this year, and Island Sauce Company is like a. If they listen to this, they might get mad at me, but
what? A local sauce company.
Yeah, they're a local sauce company.
Shout out to Kev T.
And so we were sitting around, and they did a barbecue at my place, and it was an awesome time. They turned me on to putting Cheetos in craft dinner. Holy shit. And then they came out with the Cheetos craft dinner, and I was like, oh, man.
And you know, something.
Where's the barbecue come up?
Okay, well,
so hold on. Something they taught me in the only 2 days I ever spent in jail was to crunch up Mr. Noodles and crunch up Doritos and put them together in the bag and add hot water. And then you spin the top of the bag together and let it like cook. And then it cooks into like a mushy cake.
Oh my God.
So incredible. It's next. I mean, I had never eaten Mr. Noodles
You're
before.
Like, I want to go back to jail.
Yeah, the food was really good in there.
That'll be like
here's your dinner little packet. Yeah, it'll be the next cookbook.
Bite House does prison food.
Yeah.
I'll
have spent 7 years in prison.
Just open up a little place in the back there for.
Well, just build your own prison. And you go in and just like Pablo Escobar.
I just self-prisoned myself for like 7 years.
Just to write this cookbook.
Yeah.
This next level.
I just like sour because it like balances so many things out. Mm-hmm. Like I find in dishes, it's like balances sweetness, balances heat, balances salt. Is kind of like that's what kind of gets your mouth kind of watering, kind of like what's going on, and it's usually sour.
I really like that answer.
Is that the end of the rapid fires?
That's it. That's all I got. That's all I got.
That was another one.
It's like rapid fire, but we ended up like
somewhere way left field. Yeah.
But I guess, just tell people how they can get hold of one of these fucking fine books.
Yeah, so either on the website, we'll ship anywhere in the world. And
for $5.
Yeah.
Anywhere in the world.
Yeah, and I said the world. On the website, and then on paper books in Sydney are carrying, because Donnie he co-owns that bookstore in Sydney, which is awesome. They have all like really nice selection of books, and they're just doing a great job.
This is the one on Charlotte Street, right?
Yeah. So they
really
always
good
have
people.
Yeah, they're awesome. So they always have copies there, and then Boutique Marguerite in Shitscan, and then in Inverness at the Quincy Street, and Halifax at Sourwood. Anyway, that's it for now. But yeah.
Okay, cool, man. Well, awesome. Well, thanks for jumping on this
podcast. That was fun.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And anybody that wants to follow Bryan, head to is your website's still alive, right?
Yeah.
That's how people buy it. Yeah.
Bitehouse.com.
Bitehouse.com, at Bitehouse on, is it the Bitehouse or just at Bitehouse?
Just Bitehouse on the Instagram.
At Bitehouse on Instagram.
Yeah.
You'll keep us abreast of some events that you're doing.
Yeah,
so we
on the
can
website
them.
we'll start posting on what's going on for next year, and
Great.
a lot of fun stuff. So
yeah, so if you want to hire him for some catering gigs, you get a book for 2023.
yeah. Good chatting, guys.
Thanks.
Cheers.
So that's our episode. Stay tuned for next week's episode. We have Bryson from the Highland Hostel.
Yep.
We'll be doing some combos and maybe playing some music, and maybe we'll hit some skiing or something while we're out there.
That's the plan. Hopefully we get some snow. That's the one thing. One thing that I'm hoping for is snowstorms, because recently it's been shite.
Pretty warm. But we'll give a little bit more information on our winter trips this year. And follow us on all socials at Live Life Intense.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And also rate this podcast. If you got this far, please slap a rating on there. Just a little nice touch. Just a little boop.
And tell your mother and all your family on how much you love us.
Peace. Till next week.